Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of Sustainability and Society, the Italian version, of course. This week's focus is the market society. Hugely important lesson, hugely important content. This underlies just about everything that we're going to talk about this semester. So these first few lessons are foundational, and this is certainly fits into that category. And so we'll go over the sort of relationship between um, the economy and the environment and society, and kind of look at some of the impacts that the economy has on the environment and society and some of the specific sustainability considerations. Some of this can be a little bit heavy, so you might want to take a little extra time for this week's lesson, and I'll go over a few of the key concepts here. So the first part is externalities, and I want to stress this because this is just so fundamental to understanding the impact of the economy on society. So an externality is an impact of an economic transaction, right? So we're always doing these economic transactions every day. You're just about every day anyway. You're doing something, whether it's putting gas in your car or buying buying some food at the grocery store. So we're engaging in economic activity all the time. That's what our society largely runs on, is this economic activity, and of course it's in the news and it's all over the place, right? So the economy is everywhere, really important to our daily lives. And so we engage in all this economic activity, and that involves someone paying someone money, and then they get something in return, right? So there's this agreement between the two parties that said, like, I'm going to give you money, you're going to give me this, right? I'm going to go to the grocery store and spend this much money, and I'll get this much in return, right? So there's these two parties that agree to this transaction. Well, an externality is an impact of any of these transactions that happens to somebody else that's not involved in that transaction, right? So, if I purchase some food at the food store, and so there are people that grew that food. There's, maybe it's I don't know, an avocado that was in Argentina, that's grown in Argentina, and the farmers that grew that avocado weren't paid a fair wage. And then there's emissions that happened by shipping that avocado from Argentina to Delaware. And so there's emissions that happen, and those emissions contributed to climate change. Maybe they contributed to somebody's asthma. Maybe they caused other forms of pollution. So the point is, there are impacts that occur as a result of these transactions that happen to people that have and people and things that had no say in that transaction. Those are externalities. And so the problem with an externality is that cost of that externality, right? So the pollution that resulted from my avocado, or the poor health, working conditions for the farmer, that's not included in the price of the goods. So the avocado, I'm not paying for those emissions. I'm not paying for those poor working conditions for that farmer. And so that's a problem. That's called a market failure. Right, so we'll talk, and then you go over market failure this week as well. And a market failure is just when the economic market, fails to account for all of the costs of a transaction. And there are just externalities all over the place. I mean, it is really one of the fundamental issues with sustainability. And just take climate change as an example. So any emissions that occur, like, generally speaking, though there are exceptions to this, but generally speaking, we don't pay for them, right? So we just, the manufacturing and the shipping and all of that stuff, that pollution, those emissions just go out into the atmosphere and contribute to climate change and other issues, and we don't pay for that. That's not included in the price of it. And so that's a fundamental flaw in our economic system. It's widely recognized by economists as a flaw in the system, and so we'll talk more about that, or you learn more about that this week. And you'll go over the basics of what's called neoliberal economics, which is the belief in the free market, which I think, if you pay attention to news or politics or things of that nature, you'll know that free market is how our economy is run. And so you'll learn about some of the fundamental considerations and assumptions that go along with that. And the free market economics, neoliberal economics, is another word for free market economics. Okay, so then you go over again. I said externalities and market failure. There's a video and a couple of things there. You have the opportunity to read a really famous article in the history of development and economics and sustainability called The Tragedy of the Commons, written in 1968 by Garrett Hardin. And I'll just let the article speak for itself, but this is something that is important to understand. And then just a few strategies for addressing the issue that's raised in The Tragedy of the Commons. Okay, so that's an overview of this week. Again, really important content, super fundamental to the rest of the semester. So I hope you take the time to really go through it. If you have any questions, let me know.